we're gonna talk about what happened at TwitchCon. I'd say that TwitchCon 2024 was very, 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 very different from TwitchCon 2023. And I'm gonna share why. Some really crazy stuff happened at the parties, which absolutely should not have. And I wanna talk about it. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you my overall thoughts about TwitchCon 2024, how I felt, how it went, and that I'm hoping that maybe next year, some things might change. So I hope you stay tuned until the end. But in the meantime, let's get started! It started off, as most TwitchCons do, with a lot of traveling. I like to go from Wednesday to Wednesday for TwitchCon because a lot of shit's happening. I like to go to TwitchCon because it gives me the opportunity to see a lot of friends that I haven't seen in a while. And I get to meet amazing fans. I get to meet all you Snackerfaces and community members, both old ones and new ones. And it's usually an amazing experience. I had an amazing time last year. And this year, you know, I had an amazing time meeting all you guys too. My flights absolutely sucked. There was the Air Canada potential strike going on. I had booked my flights through Air Canada, and we didn't know if they were going to strike or not during the time of TwitchCon. And Air Canada wouldn't let you refund your tickets to get on a different airline because the flights hadn't been canceled. So I was stuck kind of waiting to see whether or not they were going to strike. And it was a week before we were going to leave for TwitchCon. It was still up in the air. And we're like, you know what? We have to just book on WestJet because I don't want to get screwed over. So I got credits from Air Canada that I'll have to use at a different date. It sucked to have to switch over because I had some really nice flights. And now my flights sucked and they were long and I hated it. But we got there okay, and we ended up meeting Papa Mutt that day. You can hear him before that you see him because of just how loud he is. We all ended up going to walk around San Diego. If you've ever been to San Diego, you'll know that the streets are gross. They are a little bit, piss-filled. It was not a good experience to walk on the streets of San Diego. We ended up taking the dog for a walk, and we were walking down the streets of San Diego. We turned a corner at one point, and somebody whipped their dick out. Like some rando on the street whipped their dick out and started pissing at the side of the road. And I'm like, okay, all right. I guess that's just how it is here. We ended up going to a candy store that night. It was a lot like the San Francisco candy store that Faith and Co. and us went to in San Francisco. It was exactly like that. It was like a lot of sexual candy in the back of the store. There was a lot of boobies and like beepnesses and funny stuff like that. I actually did not get another container of gummies because I had a sneaky suspicion that somebody, we're not gonna name names or anything, might eat them all. We had a good night. We had a couple drinks. And then we ended up going back to our hotel, which again was apparently haunted. It used to be an old brothel at one point. So we're like, okay, screw it. We're just going to go and maybe we'll just do it in one of our rooms and see what happens. So Papa Mutt's like, yeah, just come to my room and then we'll just do a ghost hunt. If you have watched Papa Mutt's ghost hunting streams, he usually has the different cameras. He's got like those little cat balls that like when you touch them, they light up. He's got all that gear. He's got like a spirit box, everything like that. It got really, really cold, noticeably cold. I would say for me, it was uncomfortably cold. We were messing around and the spirit box said coil, which is a really weird thing to say when there's a snake VTuber in the room. And we all just kind of looked at each other. We're like, oh, I see. Okay, sure. We took turns being in the room by ourselves, it started saying stuff through the spirit box, like small things, stuff that like didn't make me uncomfortable. Like I wasn't scared being in there. It just felt like there was something in there with me, but not to the point where I'm feeling like I'm in danger or anything like that. Zolan went in there and apparently the spirit box started saying stuff back to him as he was talking about the kids. So it started talking about children and stuff like that. And Zolan was talking about our kids, and the spirit box started talking about children and things like that. And he's like, oh, that's kind of weird. All right. At one point, Papa Mutt goes to do his solo investigation. If you know and you've watched Papa Mutt's stuff, he is very, I'm gonna goad the ghost. And you could hear him yelling in the room from where we were, because we were outside in like this little parlor area where there was couches on, and you could just sit down and hang out. He starts yelling, yes! Yes! He had said something, and what happened was the camera in the room turned off, and a couple of those little cat balls that light up, they moved. And he went to turn the camera back on, and it was dead. Like, whatever had happened had drained it completely and knocked it over. And he had full battery for everything. The next day's Thursday. That's day 0, technically, right? We ended up going to the Sonic Cafe that day. Which I have to say, the Sonic Cafe, super cool. It was a lot of fun to go in there and be like, holy shit, look at this. Look, this is like Green Hill Zone. The dark milkshake was amazing. However, the food sucked. Like, the food was not good. The milkshakes and the drinks, amazing. Food, not good. But while we were there, we saw some Sega merch. And in this showcase, there happens to be a shadow necklace with rhinestones. We had Red Claw, Demon Queen Vivi, Papa Mutt with us. We were all just kind of looking around. We had some food, we had some drinks, but then we saw the shadow necklace. And Red Claw comes to me and says, that is a really cool necklace. And I'm like, yeah, that is a really cool necklace, isn't it? Zolan's favorite colors are red and black. So I'm like, wow, that is a cool Shadow the Hedgehog necklace. He's like, yeah, it is, isn't it? I'm like, should I buy that for him? And Red Claw's like, do it. So what happens is they distract Zolan poorly, but they distract him enough to the point where I ended up buying it for him. And he got kind of upset because he was like, why would you buy that? That's like $100 necklace. Why did you buy that? And I was like, because 1, it's kind of cool. And 2, it's Shadow the Hedgehog. Like, how would you not buy that? So he ends up putting it on, and everybody thought it was so cool. That night, I believe, was the partner party too. This year, I felt was better than last year's just because it was outside and there was more space. You could walk around, and it was nice out. Like, the weather was great, so you could be on the rooftop. For whatever reason, there was like a lot of VTubers. We all ended up congregating on this one section of the rooftop area. But the thing about VTubers is you don't know what they look like until you read their name tag. So everybody had their name tag on, and you're trying to like duck and weave and dodge, and you're trying to like look at people's names without like staring at their chest or being weird about it, or like, you know, being like, who is that? I ended up seeing, I think it was Hades from Mythos. Like, I met her. She told me that Apollo was there. I love Apollo. I've talked to Apollo a lot, and I know Apollo is a big fan. So she tells me Apollo is here, and I said, I would love to meet Apollo. So Hades says, I'll take you to Apollo, who was sitting at a table not that far away. So Hades says, Apollo, I'd like to introduce you to somebody. And Apollo's like, oh yeah, like she was very excited about it. And then I leaned in and I was all like, hey, Apollo, do you know who this is? And her face just went like, and it was the cutest reaction. Later in the evening, Junk comes up to me. He's like, hey. And I'm like, hey, Junk, what's going on? And he's like, I have somebody that really wants to take a picture with you. And I was like, oh yeah, like who? And he just takes me over. He's like, it's Apollo. And I'm like, she could just ask. And he's like, she's too shy to ask you. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Let's just get over here and let's just take a picture. To all the VTubers out there, you don't have to be shy to ask me for a picture. Because, like, I'll gladly take a picture with you and, like, hug if you want a hug. You know, consent is important. So, like, don't be afraid to ask. I swear. I'm nice, I swear. We're all just kind of talking and hanging out. And then we're like, you know what? Do you guys want to go to the Stream Elements party? And a whole bunch of us who had got invited to the Stream Elements party were like, yeah, it's actually not that far away. The Stream Elements party, hands down, best party of that weekend. Absolutely the best party of that weekend. And you want to know why it was the best party? There was security. There was, you had to be on a list. And if you were not on that list, you weren't getting in. You got free drinks. You got free food. And it was at an arcade. So there was places to sit. You could actually have a conversation with people and not have doof, doof, doof in your ear. Like, you could play games with people. You could just sit at a booth and talk. You could walk around. I talked to some really, really lovely, great people. I ended up talking to Matara. Matara was there. I ended up talking to Gunrun. A lot of Shoujo people there. I ended up talking to them, and they're always super, super fantastic and super, super kind. It was just a really nice night. That's why that was probably my favorite party that whole weekend. Friday happens. What happened Friday? We had the big fan meetup on Friday. So that was the thing that Zolan planned as like, let's meet the community outside the convention. Some people don't have tickets. Let's just go outside and meet them. And we're going to have a great time. And a lot of people showed up to sing, "Please Sit on My Face." So we have a small video about that. It's very small, but we got a clip of it. So here you go. Thank you to everybody who showed up for that too, because we brought stickers, we bought ribbons, and it was so much fun. And I got to meet so many great people. And at one point, Twitch staff got a little bit mad and was like, "You can't do this here. There's too many people. You're going to have to move because it's a safety hazard." We ended up going inside after that. I ran into Buff Pup and Shia. I went to the Gamer Subs booth. I got my free Gamer Subs cup. Woohoo! Gamer Subs, use code SNAKE. We got to talk to my rep there. I got to see the booth. The booth was really cool. The design of the booth was so cool. I believe that Freem did that. That was really, really, really cool. Like, up until that point, TwitchCon was great. It was so great. However, Friday night rolls around, and that's the other blurp party. The one that you guys have probably all heard about. The VIP VTuber party that you had to sign up for. Here's what happened to me, because I'm sure a lot of people have said stuff about it. Blurp puts out that thing before TwitchCon, right? That says, hey, we're having a VTuber VIP party. Sign up for it. Zolan ended up signing me up for it, and then he added himself as my +1. The email confirmation comes through, and I get in, right? In that email, there is fine print that says your +1s have to fill out another form to get their code. Nobody saw that. It was so small, nobody saw it. So everybody thought once you got approved, your +1 is automatically approved, right? We get to the party. I break out my QR code to get in the door. They tell me Zolan needs a QR code, and they don't let Zolan in. And I said, what do you mean he needs a QR code? Like, we filled out the form. He's my +1. No, he needs his own QR code. They will not let him in. That's when I got mad. And I don't get mad easily, but when you disrespect my partner, that's when I get mad. I go Karen at that point. I say, listen, if you're not letting him in, I'm not coming to your party. The CEO of Blurp comes over, immediately tells me to calm down. The vibe that I got from that was, hysterical woman, you need to calm down. You should never, ever, ever, in psychology, we learn this, you should never, ever start with calm down to somebody who's upset. Because what's that gonna do? It's just gonna make him more mad. He said that to me, And then I said, like, you guys are not letting him in. I'm not going to come to your party. And he's like, well, I'm going to make an exception for you guys because I saw you at the Vishojo party last year. That tells me everything I need to know right there. Thank you, oh benevolent one, for letting my partner in because you saw me at another party last year. The party ends up not just being for VTubers at this point, when it was supposed to be. It was advertised as such. It wasn't. Other people, I guess, had gotten wind of this party, and they wanted an invite to this party. So it was not just VTubers at this party. It ended up being a lot of bigger, like, facecam streamers, too. And they ended up letting way too many people into that party and rejecting a lot of people at the door that I guess had been previously invited to. And at one point, our friends had told us that their friends were getting CCV and follower checked at the door, which screams to me, this is a clout party. It felt really dirty at that point. Come to find out, we had heard that that QR code could actually be scanned multiple times. And it didn't matter who had a QR code in the end, because once you scanned the QR code, it wasn't like registering that you couldn't use it anymore. So multiple people could just hand off that QR code to anybody to get in. They also, while we were there, had a professional photographer taking pictures around the venue of people who are VTubers. That's very, very tone deaf, because some people don't want their face out there. And to me, that was just very like, why is there a professional photographer here and you have signs that say no photography and no video, but you have your professional photographer taking pictures and video? There was some cool stuff that did happen, though, at that party. Like, I ended up meeting, like, Bricky. I ended up talking to Joel. He just turns and looks at Zolan, and he's like, Zolan, we need to fix your fit. My guy, you cannot be wearing this. Like, he just looked at him, like, the most, like, disappointed look on his face that's just like, but I'm like, listen, I've tried to fix him for over 12 years. When it comes to his fit game. But, you know, he wants to wear what he wants to wear. And that's fine. I had my one free drink, and that was it. I didn't want to pay for any more drinks. So I ended up getting water for the rest of the night. But I come to find out people are getting roofied on water. Thankfully, I did not get roofied. It was really, really horrible. I don't know if we'll ever find out who, but the fact that this happened is really horrible. And these are people that are considered to be the, like, upper echelon of streaming that are around. Are you kidding me? Saturday rolls around. It's Agriculture Meet and Greet Day, which I had a lot of fun meeting fantastic people. You guys were amazing. The guys who came out to my meet and greet, you guys are amazing. Like, you're so sweet. And I got to meet some wonderful people. I got to get a lot of hugs, take a lot of pictures. And to thank you so much to the people who brought, like, small gifts and stuff like that. You really did not have to do that. It was just very, very sweet. And, like, it was above and beyond. I'm more than happy to just, you know, if you want to come and say hi and have a picture, sure, why not? But, like, the fact that you guys brought, like, little gifts and stuff like that, that was very, very kind. Like, very, very, very sweet. You don't have to do that stuff, but it means a lot to me. I ended up raiding Tricky's hotel room. I was with Tricky's brother and sister-in-law. They had to go back to her hotel room. And, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I, like, left a note? Because at this point, I hadn't seen Tricky. Like, I hadn't seen her at all. But I was in her hotel room. And I'm like, should I leave her a note? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? So I left her a note, which was like, Vex was here. And then I drew, like, a picture of my snitties. We went to Coefficient's tournament because he was in the Sagem Slam. And we got really loud. Like, we got really loud. We're like, that's our boy! Yeah! Like, we were just like, me and Zolan were screaming. I had to laugh because he walked on stage with the Zemterea Sucks shirt on. We ended up taking a bunch of pictures of him on stage and whatnot. And Faith tells us afterwards, she's like, Ko saw all the pictures that you took. And he leans over to me and he says, God, they really are like mom and dad, aren't they? They're just taking pictures of everybody and like cheering people on. Like, that's our children. That's our children. But that's what we do. It's like you cheer on your friends. You cheer on your homies. And then we ended up going to round 1 afterwards. I ended up winning a couple of things there. But for the most part, I ended up just like talking to Faith. Because Faith was there with Ko and all the people from the Sage and Slam tournament. And they were playing like bowling. So we were just hanging out and talking. We get back to the hotel room. It's kind of like 1 a.m.-ish. I'm winding down, laying in bed. And my phone starts buzzing. And I'm like, who the is messaging me at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning? Guess who it is? Tricky. She had found the note at this point. So she's sending me videos of her finding the note and being like, Vexa, what's here? And I don't get kisses! I end up messaging her back and I'm like, LOL, I'm sorry I missed you. I just wanted to leave a note. I was with your brother. Like, I wasn't just like breaking into your hotel room. So she's all like, I need to see you. And I'm like, well, what are you doing tomorrow? And she's like, I have my meet and greet at GamerSups tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I can go and see if I can sneak into that. Like, she's like, I want you to come and give me a kiss. And I was like, okay, I'm going to come and give you a kiss because you demanded it. And when Tricky wants a kiss from you, you goddamn right I'm going to show up and give that woman a kiss, all right? So I did that. And then Zolan, Coefficient, and Faith, we ended up going to the zoo. Because I was like, I want to go to the zoo. Everybody's talking about the zoo. It's an amazing zoo. Like, one of the best zoos in the world. Come to find out, Heavenly Father and a bunch of people are there. So we met Heavenly and crew at the zoo. And we hung out with Ko and Faith. We saw a lot of the animals. We bought some stuff. At one point, we were supposed to play board games with Joel. That didn't really plan out. Like, it didn't pan out the way that we wanted it to. There was just not enough room. We didn't know where to go. So instead of playing board games, we ended up going back to round 1 for round 2. So at this point, I'm like, I'm going to win a lot of plushies. We're going to try to win a lot of plushies. Zolan has enabled me. He fills the card up with money and he goes, here. We ended up playing a lot of crane games, Shia and Buff. There was a lot of VTubers there that night. It was like Joel, there was Ghosty was there. I love Ghosty so much. There was a ton of VTubers there. I learned how to play the crane games properly, and poor Zolan, because he becomes the plushie carrier at this point, because I just kept winning. At one point, we tried to get a bag from round 1 because I had won so many plushies that they were out of bags. So I had so much plushies at this point. Zolan was like, what the fuck are we gonna bring all this home? And I'm like, we'll Tetris it. So that was kind of Sunday. Monday rolls around. We had to say goodbye to a lot of people because a lot of people leave. A lot of people leave on Monday. Me, no. I don't like to leave on Monday because I know that airport is going to be crazy. We actually went on an aircraft carrier with some folks who work at Novel Horizons. It was a lot of fun. Zolan likes that stuff a lot, so he takes a lot of pictures. So he was walking around like a dad. He's like walking around taking all these pictures. He's walking around taking pictures for his dad because like his dad is really big into this stuff too. So like we were watching Zolan walk around like in his own element, just walking around taking pictures of like really cool airplanes and jets. He was full tilt into it. And we were just watching him. We're like, wow, he's such a dad. Like he has fully gone into dad mode with like reading everything and like taking pictures and video. Like he's just full in it. And it was so cute to watch. But we thought it was so funny. Tuesday, though, I have to say, was my favorite day. That was like our date day. So we ended up going to SeaWorld. I love theme parks. Theme parks are like a big thing for me. I absolutely love them. We went on a ton of rides together, and literally it was the perfect day to go on a Tuesday because there was nobody. There was nobody in that theme park. And you know what that means? You get on the rides like that. You just walk up and get on the ride. And then we went and had a really nice meal at this restaurant called Huntress, which was like, it was expensive. But at that point, we were just like, you know what? This is our day. We're going to go and have an expensive steak, and we're going to have some nice drinks, and we're just going to talk and vibe, and you know what? Celebrate us. It was so good. Like, it was just such a nice thing to just be able to sit and have a nice meal together and not feel rushed and relax. Or so we thought. Because we get back to her hotel room and we start to pack and we realize that all of those plushies, all of those plushies that I got from round 1, they're not fitting in the suitcases. We have to rush out at like 10 o'clock at night to go to Walmart to get another suitcase just for plushies and other stuff for the kids because they won't fit in their suitcases. Everybody I met was so fantastic that weekend. Like, really, everybody was so sweet and very nice. That was TwitchCon in a nutshell. How do I feel TwitchCon went? I feel like it went a lot different than Vegas. I feel like Vegas was better. Really, I genuinely do. I feel like Vegas was better. Vegas may have been more expensive. There was more to do in Vegas. So I'm kind of a little bit disappointed that it's in San Diego for the next 5 years, but we'll see. Maybe it'll get better. What did I enjoy the most? I think I enjoyed seeing my community the most. Like, out of everything, you guys are always amazing. You show up at these conventions and you're very, very like, hey, it's Vex and Solon. And I'm like, hey, it's you guys. And I get super excited. Because, like, last year was hard for me. And seeing you guys, like, still being a part of the Hissing Depths, still being like, we love our Snake Mom. It just, like, really touches my heart. And I get to spend time with you guys at meet and greets. I get to spend time with my friends. I get to meet some new people, too. That's probably, like, the highlight of my trip. Like, if I go to these things and, like, if you're active in my community and then you walk up to my meet and greet, you're like, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I can recognize your name. I'm like, holy, it's you! And then I get super excited because it's like, oh my God, you've been around for so long. You've been interacting with me. You've been interactive in the Discord and the Twitch chat. I get super excited. You guys are great, and you guys get so excited too. And it's like one of those like really happy feel-good moments that like I can't replace that. I'd say if I had the opportunity to go again, absolutely. I'd absolutely go again. I get to hang out and see my friends. Even if it is for 5 minutes, that's still a thing that, like, if I don't go, I won't see them potentially for another year or whenever because I don't know what cons we're going to. At least in those 5 minutes, I get to tell them that they're amazing and that I miss them and that they're doing awesome stuff and I'm like, rooting for them. How do I feel about San Diego? I mean, there's a lot to do in San Diego. It's hard to not find activities to do in San Diego because there is so much to do. That said, the streets are absolute garbage and they're dirty as f. We actually witnessed somebody getting arrested on the streets of San Diego while we were walking to like a Japanese like a restaurant for dinner one night. So there's that. There was also the guy that whipped his dick out. So, I mean, like, the streets are dirty. Shit happens. You just kind of have to be aware of that kind of stuff. Am I going to go next year? I think I'm going to try to go next year again just because you know what? It was a good time overall. The gas lamp district was a lot of fun. I would say, like, overall, TwitchCon definitely, as most things, had its ups and had its downs. That's the TwitchCon recap, everybody. I hope you had fun listening to me rant and talk about TwitchCon. Have a great day. Goodbye, YouTube! Mwah!